Shalom, friends. Akib here from Israel in 5, and I want to invite you to take part in a very important campaign of Meir Panim to help rebuild Israel after this war. This war brought a lot of devastation to so many individuals and families. Families that lost loved ones, families that lost their homes, their stability, their financial support, their financial sources. And Meir Panim is taking a leading role in Israel today to make sure that those who were hit the hardest during this war have the support, the love, the food, the financial resources in order to move forward, go on and rebuild their lives. But Meir Panim can only do it with your help. You can go to Israel5.org/donate and make a donation. That could be a one-time donation. It could be a monthly donation. And know that all of your money will go to help support the multiple programs of Meir Panim that are helping to rebuild Israel after the war. Whether they're the markets that over 10,000 families every single week go to get fresh produce, fruits and vegetables to bring home, or the tons of people that visit their centers throughout the country to get a hot meal every single day. Or it's going to literally rebuild damaged or destroyed homes and bomb shelters throughout the country. Meir Panim sees the need and it is doing something about it, but they can only do it with your help, with your support. Right? If you want to help rebuild Israel after this very unique and challenging time, you can do so by going to Israel5.org/donate, or click on the link below and make a donation and help Meir Panim help Israel. Right? Help Israel directly through your donation to Meir Panim. And as a thank you, Meir Panim will send you a special medallion that on one side has a picture of the Western Wall and has a quote that says, "I helped fight poverty in Israel." Right? You will be one of those people on the front lines of helping Israel after the war, helping Israel to rebuild, helping Israelis get their lives back together, to rebuild their lives, to move forward with stability, with support, with honor, and with respect. Right? Again, your donation will go to fund and to help Meir Panim continue its multiple programs around the country to help those most in need during this very, very unique and challenging time. Again, you can go to Israel5.org/donate to make a donation and to make a difference. Thank you so much, my friends. All the best and be well. It's starting to rain here in the land of Israel, which is a cause of celebration and also gives us an opportunity to think about and reflect on ancient Israel and what they did to make sure that they had enough water to use in their daily lives throughout the year. Shalom, my friends. It's Akiva Gersh with Israel in 5, where we give you everything Israel in 5 minutes. Please like and subscribe. If you have any questions or want to keep the conversation going, please do so below in the comments. It's important to know and to remember that in Israel, it only rains a certain time of the year, in the winter time, right? From about November, sometimes late October to around March, sometimes into April. That's the rainy season, right? That's winter time. That's when the rains fall. After that, it doesn't rain at all for months and months in a row, not a single drop. And the land turns brown and golden and yellow, and then the soil gets very, very hard. So we need to make sure whatever we can do, right, for that. Although there are prayers in the Jewish tradition to pray for rain, especially when the rains aren't coming. But the rains need to come in the wintertime, but they don't come at all. And if they don't come in the wintertime, that's a serious problem. So when they come, whatever amount that they come, it's important, especially in ancient Israel. It was very important to make sure that they collected rainwater, to make sure that they had enough rainwater to use for their daily lives, their daily uses, right? Whether that be in the home, to bathe, to cook, to clean, to farm, of course, right? And they didn't know how much rain they were going to get, right? They didn't have a weather channel to turn on to see how much rain it was going to fall this week. Every day was a bit of a mystery, right? And how much you're going to receive in any given winter was also a very, very big mystery, which still is today. So in ancient times, they built lots of different structures in order to be able to collect water. And we see these structures all over the land of Israel until today. We see cisterns, right, of bore mayim, of all different shapes and sizes, right? Sometimes they're small, sometimes they're massive, right? On Masada, for example, the famous mountain Masada in the Judean desert, archaeologists found cisterns, right? Pretty big ones. And they use it to capture rainwater, especially in the desert where it barely ever rains. So really, whenever it does rain, you got to make sure that you have something to capture it. But there were these cisterns, again, of all sizes, bor mime, as we call them, all over the country. They can be for a family, they can be for a village, it can be multiple ones in a village. And you can literally hike the land today and see all of these cisterns throughout the land that take us back thousands of years and show us exactly how people made sure that they were able to collect the rainwater and have enough water for their daily uses. Of course, any rainwater that just hit the soil and went into the ground eventually got collected, filtered naturally, right, by the earth, and it got collected in an aquifer. And until today, Israel has many different aquifers underneath the ground. There's a huge one underneath Judea and Samaria. There's one along the coast. There's even in the desert. In modern day times, Jews found all kinds of underground water, right, that they were able to use for the early years, the early decades of Zionism and the early agricultural settlements that were created. And these go back, of course, thousands of years ago. So we see the cisterns, we see the aquifers, right? In the north, there is the Kinneret. So whoever was living up there can go and walk to the Kinneret and fill a bucket with water. And also in the north, there's lots of different rivers, right? Not the case so much in the rest of Israel, especially as you go further south. But if you were near a water source, right, so you can go and fill up there. And it's interesting to contrast the ancient way of making sure you had enough water with the modern way. Everything I just mentioned just now is still used in modern day Israel. The cisterns, the collection, the aquifers. But of course, it's modern day times, so there's better abilities, capabilities, and technology, right? So Israel collects a lot of the rainwater and filters it into the ground to make sure it has enough. But not only that, it takes all kinds of water, all kinds of wastewater from houses, from businesses, gray water, even black water, as it's called, different levels of let's call it pollution content, right? And they run it through a very advanced filtering system, and then they put it into the ground as if it was rainwater to allow the earth to do the final stages of filtration. And it works. After a year of going through all kinds of layers of sand, silt, rocks, pebbles, whatever, it hits an aquifer, it's pumped out and used on farms all over Israel because it's actually totally clean and usable. It's an amazing thing, right? So what we're doing today is a reflection of the past with some extra technological advancements to make sure that we too here in the modern state of Israel have enough water every single day for our daily use, right, throughout the year, even when it's not raining, even when it's not the rainy season, and even when the rainy season doesn't really bring enough rain. All the best, my friends, and be well.